All right, if you're a real estate agent that's wondering, what is it that I can do to optimize my Google business profile in a way that helps me be findable on Google and also sets me up for success? This is the video for you. Julie and I are going to go through, we're going to talk about exactly what it is you should be doing on Google business profile right now that will move you up the search rankings and get you more deals. All right, everybody, this is an interview that I know is going to get you some value because Julie and I met, actually, Julie, we met through TikTok, as I remember, and it was you speaking specifically on Google business profile. And as I was listening to that, I was like, look, agents need to hear this stuff. This is really good and helpful. And really, in my opinion, a lot of agents overlook the power of their Google business profile and what it can do for their business. So if you don't mind, let's get right into it because I know you got some good stuff for some people. Let's talk a little bit about kind of for the person, let's start at 101, the person who doesn't have a Google business profile. And then what we're going to do is we're going to quickly shift into, okay, once you've got that, what is it that people can do to really get some bang for their buck, I guess, out of that profile? So Julie, thanks for being with me. And is there anything, where should we start? Should we just start with setting up their profile? Is that what you would
Yeah, for
suggest?
sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. Look, I know we're always worried about Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and I feel like the Google business profile kind of gets left out, right? Like, so you absolutely want to get on there, get your profile up and have it super strong so that you can get optimized and people can find you. I mean, that's where everyone goes to look for realtors in your area, whatever city you're in, whatever town you're in, and you want to be the one to pop up at the top of the page, right? So you need to have a Google account. And so you want to go and start with your profile. You log in, Google business profile, and you want to add as many things as you can. Whatever they ask for, fill it in if you can. So the basic things like your address, your business name, which you want to add realtor at the end of that, or something very, localized to your area so that people know who you are and where you are. So the business address, if you don't have a physical address, you can opt out of that. I think it's like no address or no physical address. If you have issues getting verified, they do want to make sure you're a real business, right? So they want verification with that. So you may have to send in a video. And if you still have trouble, then maybe just Google that and see what you should do for your next steps. Because that's the first process, is getting verified, the first step in it. And then there's ways to optimize it. There's ways to consistently post. There's ways to look. I started doing this last year, and I had 2 calls within the last 4 months from people out of town, no one I knew, that just found me on Google. And I'm sort of just getting started with that. So you will get results for sure. And the biggest key with all of this that we're going to talk about is staying consistent and not doing something today and then forgetting about it for a month. Stay consistent and treat it like any other social media platform.
Yeah, this is really good. And here's the thing I would say, and to add to that is a lot of times we think about, okay, well, we've got to be on social media. We've got to do these things. But you have to understand that Google is where people go when they're searching for something to do something. So
Right.
for instance, for me, when I just a couple weeks ago, I was down in Miami. I did a quick search for best restaurants in Little Havana because I was going to go to Little Havana. And literally it gives me this list. Well, then what did I do? You want to think of this from a way in a perspective of what are the people who are looking for an agent in your town going to look for? They're going to look for, and there's certain keywords. They're going to look for realtor in whatever the town, best realtor in whatever the town is. And so like what you said is on your profile, yes, you should have your name, but nobody's going to search for your name. Well, some will, but that'll be a part of it. But then you want to almost have like a little dash that says in my area, 30A realtor or 30A real estate agent. Think of it from a standpoint of search. In your name, you should have that search. And then what did I look for when I looked at the restaurants? I looked for reviews. I
Mhm.
went through the photos. I did this. And so we want to think from a standpoint of what is that person going to do and how do we fill those things in a way that really helps it? So, and again, I think that was such a great point you made. If you're not sure how to get verified, or maybe there's a gap here and you're like, well, I don't know how to do this. Those days of saying, I don't know how to do something are over because all you got to do is go to Google and
Yeah.
just ask it what you want to do. How do I get verified? I'm having trouble getting verified. What should my next steps be? Whatever it is, don't allow something to stop because, as you mentioned, people are going to find you on Google. And the first thing they're going to do if they meet you or it's a new lead that comes from anywhere is they're going to Google your name. And
Mhm.
this is going to be the first thing that pops up. So this is your resume online. So let's make it as complete as possible. One of the things I wanted to touch on too is you mentioned about like hours of operations. You mentioned about, some of the questions that they have. There's specific questions like hours of operations, areas that you cover. What are the specific things that they really want to concentrate on to make sure? Because I know there's certain things that people check almost immediately or that shows up immediately on the profile.
Yeah. Hours of operation, you want to put 24/7 on there. That does the best with SEO optimization. So put 24/7. You'll see something called products and services. And that's where for services, you want to add things like first time home buyer, luxury properties, foreclosed properties, as many things as you can think of. Appraisals seem to do really well. The word appraisals, use that as your keyword. Something you said too, like with name, like we talked about the business name. When you're uploading photos and things, you want to name all of those photos the right way, where you're going to get the best optimization with the right keywords before you upload that into your Google profile. So if it's a just sold home, like you want to say, just sold Phoenix, Arizona, or wherever you are, you want it very localized. And you have to think that way before you start adding to your profile and trying to optimize it. Keywords are huge, and that's what's going to push you up at the top of the search results, right? When people are searching for those specific things. So you want to sort of think like buyers and sellers in your area and what you would be searching for and the words you'd be using. Reviews, you want to have at least 5 reviews. Anyone that has a Gmail account, I should say, can leave you a review. So it doesn't have to be an actual client. It can be another realtor you worked with and everything went great and it wasn't a nightmare, and you can ask, but if it was a nightmare, don't ask for a review. So you can ask other realtors, you can ask friends, family, you can ask anyone. And the big thing with reviews is you want to reply right away. So when you get a review, reply, thank them. And, again, think with keywords. When you reply, use your city, your town, what area you serve. Thank you for letting me let me help you purchase your home in Seaside. You want to use those keywords in your replies as well.
Yeah. Hey, that's such a great point too. What we found too is try to match, whether it be on YouTube or specifically on Google in this case, what the algorithm loves is it loves certainty. So for instance, if your name is Julie Tomlinson, whatever realtor, and the area you're serving, just so I remember this, you're on the North Shore, correct?
Yeah,
In Louisiana.
Covington.
So it'd be like Julie Tomlinson, Mandeville Realtor, for instance. I'm just using that. Well, when you upload your photo, title the photo as Julie Tomlinson, Mandeville Realtor, so that there's clarity and it's exactly the same. That kind of helps key those things. The other thing that, like you're talking about, when we're uploading the pictures, we like to use, especially like just sold or listings, we like to use the full address. So it'd be like 111 Live Oak Avenue, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, new listing. You know what I mean? So those things that is the key. You can't put titles or you can't put descriptions of pictures, but the algorithm looks at, and the search, the optimization is to have that in that title like you're talking about. So really pay attention to that. Couple of things that you mentioned there on the review side. I'm going to use this as an example. When I go on and I look on Google and something pops up and I look at the business, the first thing I do is look at the number of views, because it gives me a clarity that, hey, this place has either got some, been around, they've got those things. So the more reviews, the better. And so what I would suggest, like you said, is think about it from a standpoint. We've run contests. We've sent emails to past clients where we gave them a code for a $5 Starbucks card with a link and just said, hey, would love for you to help me out by leaving a Google review. Really, it is the foundation of my business. And if you don't mind, in advance, I've already put down a QR code down below where you can get a $5 gift card to Starbucks or whatever. That has done really well for us. Trading out those types of things, like you mentioned, even running contests where we had a contest where anybody that did this would get whatever prize you want to give them, and you just send it to your email list. All of those are ways that you can do these. I will also tell you that one of the things we've done, like with service providers, is we will actually go leave a review for a home inspector, for instance, for a mortgage lender or whoever. And then we send the link and say, hey, I know how important reviews are for my business and yours. I've already left a review on Google for you and for your business. I would love it if you could take the time and leave one for me as well. Here's the link.
Yeah.
And that's done really, really well for us
Do it for
as
them.
well.
They
Yeah,
absolutely do it for you, right? Yeah, that's a great way. Also, you
absolutely.
get the review link on your profile and make it into a QR code, stamp it on your business card and have it with you. And you can text that link to everyone. So just, I think you should always be thinking about reviews. I mean, that's your billboard. That's your business, right? So it's staying in front of it and getting it out to as many people as possible. And like you said, not thinking, not just your clients, it can be vendors, it can be other realtors. You just have to think outside the box, and you want the more numbers, you know, the more optimized your profile is going to be for sure.
Hey, Julie, I got to tell you this quick story, and maybe this works for somebody else too. And
Yeah.
it's kind of self-deprecating, so I'll just tell it. I wrote a book back in 2011, basically telling the story of me going through the boom and the bust of the real estate market. One of the things that I did is obviously on Amazon, you wanted reviews, right? So my mom remarried after my parents got divorced, so her last name was different than mine, and she left me this glowing review on Amazon. I was doing an interview on this, and they said, and by the way, we noticed here that this glowing review, this Diane Huggins, and she seems like she really knows you. And I said, yeah, that's my mom. And so it was kind of embarrassing, but look, reviews are reviews. People don't always know it's your mom. So you got to get a review, you know? And so, and the other thing about the reviews is maybe you've got, because if you've been in the business for a little while, sometimes we'll have people that we aren't still in contact with, because that's just who we are sometimes, but they left a review 3, 4, 5 years ago on Zillow or Realtor on somewhere else. Take a photo of that and then upload it, like we were talking about, titling it correctly, where it's like review of Julie Tomlinson, Realtor, Mandeville, Mandeville Realtor. And then upload that as a photo, and then that gives you another photo there. Now, the basics that we've seen, some of the things we've seen are the photos and the reviews really, and then the content. But let's talk first about the number of photos, because I know you mentioned get at least 20 to start. Is there a sequence to doing this where it gives some consistency? And is there like a magic number, or is it just ongoing on that?
So the key to it is consistency, right? Whether that number for you is uploading 2 photos a week or 6 a week. You don't want to upload 15 one week and then not go back to it for 3 weeks. So you can, pick something that's doable for you. Everybody's different, right? So 5 photos a week, if that's your goal, then put it on a calendar. Do it when you are doing your other social media platforms, right? Like you can even repurpose the same content that you use, so you're not overworking yourself and having to, think or work harder. Q&A, there's a Q&A section for your Google profile. You can take a post that you use on Facebook and turn it into a Q&A on Google. You ask the question, you answer the question, and that's great for optimization. So I would say just be consistent, whatever it is, whatever works for you. I mean, you don't want to set something up that set yourself up for failure, right? So if I can commit to 5 photos a week, write it down and do it consistently every single week. And that is what they want to see. That's what they want to see, is consistency.
Yeah, I love the Q&A portion. A couple things that we've done in the past on that, because you definitely want to have that, is think of it like a frequently asked questions page that you would have on your website. And what are those questions? If you don't know what it is, just go to Google and say most asked questions for realtors. It's going to give them to you. And then you just, like you said, you ask the question, then you give the answer. And a lot of times that is going to fill in some of the gaps there. It also helps on search. Those folks that are, that have some of those questions, it's already on your page. I think of a page, when you're talking about consistency, I think of a Google business profile page as basically your digital storefront. I mean, people are going to Google you, and this is the first thing they're going to see. And when they see it, what are they going to see? They want to see, activity. They want to see consistency. And so the consistency really comes like, if I have an office where I've got my sign out front and I'm not in my office, but once every 3, 4 weeks, odds are people are not going to keep stopping by my office. The algorithm's the same way. It's going to see that you're serious about this. It's going to see that there's consistency, that you're continuously adding value, that it's the most recent and up-to-date information, and that will cue it to put you in front of those people. We talked about the reviews, we talked about the photos, the Q&A. I want to just give a little background on what we did, really that just a perfect example of this. We worked with an agent that was in an area that did not have a ton of other agents that were active on their Google business profile. So what we did is we put together a 2-month plan where we were going to ramp up to 20 reviews and 100 photos. And within a month after doing that and staying consistent those weeks after that, she ended up getting a over $1 million listing, and that place just keeps growing. So this is a thing where you know that people are, if they meet you and they're curious about you, they're going to Google you. So this is the way we set it up.
For them to get to your Facebook or your Instagram, they're not always on Facebook searching for you, right? They're going to Google your name and they're going to find your Facebook link through Google. So you know, that's just where everyone goes for everything. So I feel like it's just something that's left out. Like I know for me, it was like I told you, I didn't start doing this until last year. And gosh, I mean, I wish I would have done it years ago, because it's that Google's going to be there forever. That's your billboard for life, right? As long as you're a real estate agent. And so to have everything on there and to stay consistent with the post. And one quick thing on the photos too, you want to add some candid shots as well. Like you don't want it to be all listing photos or just all, you know, with a couple headshots. Like do like a fun closing picture with a client with the just sold sign, or you in front of the house after it's sold by your sign. Like you want it to be relatable and not look like all professional photos, right? With the Q&A,
same thing.
Be authentic. Like I have a mind. Why choose me as a realtor? Well, here's what I do differently than other agents, or here's what I offer, and just be authentic and real and relatable, and you will definitely get some leads from it for sure.
Yeah. And I will tell you, video still does extremely well over there also. So if you've got an Instagram reel that worked really well, utilize it over there. You just want to make sure with that stuff that you don't have the stamping of Instagram on there, or if you did a TikTok, it doesn't have TikTok on there, but you just want to be able to utilize those things in this is where we talk about like compounding your content. Utilize it everywhere, but specifically, I would say going forward, make sure that you're utilizing it on Google, because it is where the people go for a search when they're looking for someone to work with. Hey, I know we've talked about the basics and the foundations. Look, I don't want to go too deep on this, but there is another level to this. You want to talk a little bit about some of those examples as well of what's out there for folks?
Yeah, for sure. So I know everyone knows about the Google ads, where there's something called local service ads, and you have to have, I think it's at least 20 reviews. It may be 50, but you want more than 50, honestly. And you pay weekly, but you really only end up paying for however many leads you get. Okay. It's different. It's not a pay-per-click deal. That's where people will call you directly. People will message you or email you or text you directly, and they're more qualified leads. So there are some things you want your profile to be optimized, and there's some requirements for that. But that's a whole different level that you can use as far, for lead generation for sure. And it's definitely higher quality leads than just a pay-per-click kind of deal.
Yeah, Julie, I would say this too. If an agent's out here and you're curious, well, I want to make sure that I maximize this, the best thing to do would be and go search for people in other markets. So I would suggest going to Google and being like, I mean, here I am in Northwest Florida, you're in Louisiana, is going and being like Atlanta Realtor in Google and see what pops up, or Phoenix Realtor and see what pops up. Look at those Google business profiles that pop up, because if they pop up first in some of those other areas, there's reasons for that, because they've hit the algorithm a certain way. So notice the wording. Notice what they do as a description of who they are. Notice how many photos they have, how many reviews. Utilize that as something as inspiration to make sure that you're optimizing yours in the best way. Because look, if you can find, and if you're doing this in multiple places, being able to recognize patterns of, oh, they have appraisal on all of their keywords, or they have first-time home buyer, or they have luxury, whatever it is. Find those ones that are getting some results in other places. Apply that in your local market. You're absolutely going to get some results. I think you and I
as well, and see what pops up in your own area and how you can be up there as well by doing what they're doing or optimizing, even more.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Is notice what your competition is doing locally as well. And look, I know you and I talked about this offline, but we know that if people will apply themselves on Google, this will get you deals. And this is
Yes.
something that compounds over time. So if you're adding a review or two a month, and once you get to that 15, 20, you've got something that is just going to continue to compound and build over time that I know is going to get you more deals. Listen, Julie, this has been super helpful. And like I said, I found you on TikTok. I think that'd be a great place, maybe if that's okay with you, to send folks where they can get some additional tips from you. How would they find you on TikTok?
So my handle is just being real estate on TikTok. And I guess it's not a secret anymore because I've tried to like block everyone I knew when I started doing it. I didn't want, I'm like, I don't want anyone seeing my videos, but the secret's out now. So yeah, no, but I try to just give tips, and I have a couple videos on this as well on my TikTok. And I wish someone, we don't learn anything in real estate school. We all know that. And so it's hard to know how to be a realtor and what to do and all these pieces and parts that go with it. So I just try to touch on a little bit of what I know and what I've learned over the years to help others.
Yeah, I will tell you, I'm glad you didn't block me because that's how I found you. And literally, I know that people are going to get some value out of this. Listen, what I would just say, if you're an agent that gets some results from this, make sure you let Julie and I know about that. That's what gives us the juice to continue to help agents. And we hope this has been helpful, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.